Well, I think we're ready to glue this bridge up. I didn't video the part where I scraped all the inside here and where I cleaned off the bridge here. As you can see, it's all nice and clean now. I don't know if you'll see it in the camera, but it's scarred. It's scuffed. I've crisscrossed a bunch of stuff. You want to make this surface relatively rough. I smoothed it all out so it's flat, but now I've roughed it up. I did the same thing here. And this doesn't look real nice and uniform, and that's because on this particular guitar, which I found out as I'm working, has an incredibly single coat of flat lacquer on top of the black. And so as I'm going around the edges, and I scored it with a very sharp X-Acto, whatever we call it, and I scored all the way around. But there were areas where when I scored it, that little thin coat of lacquer just kind of popped up on both sides, and it made it almost, because it was clear, but it made it look kind of white. So what I did is I took a magic marker and I just went around and darkened all the edges so that when I put the bridge back down, and it's going to sit really nice and pretty, that there's no clear spots showing. So it looks at least as sharp as and as crystal clear as I can make it. Now, one of the things about cleaning that out is you can see this sits really nice. It doesn't slide around, doesn't go back and forth, because since I scraped all this out, I now have created a little inset that's exactly the size of this bridge. So now I'm in good shape. Couple things to note, and not a thing I can do about it, is as I commented, there's an incredible thin, almost, I guess I'm assuming a single layer of flat lacquer. Well, right in here, as soon as I touched it, it popped up on both sides. Not a thing I could have known to do differently. It's just what it is. So I cleaned it down as much as I could, but now it's created a little flaw in that surface. And I gave some thought to trying to re-lacquer it, and I realized that all that'll happen is it'll just get much worse. There's not a chance in the world that I can spray that with a flat, clear lacquer and then do anything to it but make it look worse. Because the problem is when you even lightly surface sand a matte finish, it puts a little sheen on it, and this guitar has no sheen. So the person who gets it is just going to have to understand that there's a flaw. There's actually there's another one in here, and it's over here. You can't see it, but that was there from the factory. So there's a little flaw here, there's a little flaw there, there's a little flaw there. They're incredibly surfaced. There's not a thing can be done about them, and it is what it is. So anyway, we just can't lose any sleep over it. It doesn't affect the way the guitar plays. So now what are we going to do? Now we're going to glue this bridge down, and we use Titebond, the original. It's what's always recommended, or I don't even know if it's recommended, but it is what we always use. And as always, I look around and realize that I do not have any water. So I'm going to let you just cogitate on the picture of this guitar while I run very quickly and get some water. Okay, I am back, and there's my water. I'll get my brush, because I brush this on to make sure you get a full coverage. And let's get an appropriate appropriate brush. You can tell I'm always prepared. Well, maybe not always. Sometimes. Maybe not sometimes. Okay, here's what we do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to open a bottle. There it goes. Open the bottle. And we're going to put a little glue down. And I like to put plenty down so that I have a lot of squeeze out. I'm not worried about getting it down the hole because I can always take and I can move the pins in, the two bridge pins, and it'll work just fine. Now I dampen the brush just because I want to make sure. Now because this is a matte finish, I'm going to very quickly work to get all that glue off this finish and try to be a little bit more careful. I got one little spot already that I know is not going to be good, so we'll get that. Glue all the way around, glue all the way around, and like I say, we're going to make sure we have plenty of what's called squeeze out. And if you've done any work or watched any of the videos, know what squeeze out is. And okay, now it's the same thing I'm going to do here. Put a little glue down. Oh, see that? Now, very quickly, damp rag. Get this damp rag. Get that on. Damp rag. Go around the inside. Get rid of all that damp rag. Because that's going to get squeezed out, so I'm not worried about wiping the edges too much. But I got to get this off because what I am worried about is that I'll have glue and it will stick to the finish and it will not look good. Okay. Now let's get this down. Put this in here. Make sure you have plenty of glue. Sometimes I wet the surface before I even put anything down. That kind of helps the working time. But you don't want to get it too wet because, of course, you're just weakening your glue. And, people think you want to have thick glue. But what I want to do is get a very, very thin layer uniformly across. Okay, that looks pretty close to what I want. So I got plenty here in my edges, and if I don't have squeeze out all the way around, I'll be disappointed. So, here's what we do. I lay this down here, and I see squeeze out coming out. Yeah, I see it everywhere. Okay, good. Put that in there. I got all my clamps. This is a small bridge, so I'm going to be able to put one clamp right here, one clamp right here, and one clamp right here. And that should be enough. Now, because this is, I'm going to do a little weight distribution, what I am going to do is I put that clamp down, is I'm going to take a piece of aluminum, and I'm also going to take a piece of leather, and I'll take the leather and put it underneath the aluminum. And so now I'm going to have a piece of leather here, and a piece of aluminum here. I'm going to do a little weight distribution. make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's where it's supposed to be. And that's where that's supposed to be. And last, but before I do anything, not least, what I'm going to do is take a couple pins, put them in. This is going to be here. Make sure that's just right. Make sure that's just right. Make sure that's just right. Now, while that's doing that, I'll take a piece of leather, put it here, get this one down. Always fun getting these clamps just right where I want them. There we go. And another piece of leather over here. Clamp, pull these, pull the pins. Don't give me trouble pin pulling. There it goes. And one in the water. Put that in the water. Get a little off of them. I pushed it down too hard. Just want to make sure it's good and solid. There we go. Put that in the water. And I'll take a piece of leather here, piece of aluminum, just to spread the weight, distribute the pressure, spread the weight. There we go. Put that weight right there. Oh, stop! Now, what I see is squeeze out everywhere. So, now, the way I cleaned it up, initially, as I will take this brush and pull it out. And then I'll get a rag and go underneath there and get it cleaned. I just want to break the bond so I don't have any glue drying like it shouldn't be. And this is my technique. Everybody's got one. Well, I'm happy because I see glue squeezing out everywhere. And that is exactly what I want to see. I don't want to see any spot where there wasn't glue squeezing out, because then that told me I wasn't getting, a solid glue job. And so now we've got that. Let me get a little paper rag, and I should be able to. But watch, it's going to get a little bit of a shake here because I got my rag sitting right by my camera, and we'll get there. There we go. Now, let's get this little tiny thing in here, and let's get all this wiped up. There we go. And I think we're going to have a good joint. And I got all the glue away. I shouldn't see anything that doesn't belong. cleaning. I'm cleaning as fast as I can. And I don't want to see, there we go. Gotta wipe this very well. Again, if you're working with a matte finish, you gotta be extra careful because it seems like everything on a matte finish will show. It just the way matte finishes are. They're nice. My personal preference for my guitars is a gloss, a high gloss, because, like I say, the problem with a matte is that every little flaw, every fingerprint shows all the time. Always looks like there's a little dirty spot. Now, see, I gotta get inside, and I gotta get in here really well, because I can see right now, very quickly, it's gonna start making a film. And I don't want any glue film. I think I got, it's not all, I think I got most. Now, and don't like having any stuff because I can't get this up later once it's here on this matte finish. My opinion is it's a pain in the butt. You're going to see the top of my head. I'm sorry, but everybody likes to look at my bald spot. One of my best features. Okay. Now, under here. Okay, I'm happy. Let's see, are we looking? Yeah, okay. Not exactly sure. We got every spit of it. I think it's about as good as I'm going to do. And I never say good enough because it never is. Good enough's never good enough. But I don't see any globs of glue. Okay, that's going to sit there for this evening. I won't pull that till tomorrow. It'll actually be late tomorrow. I got some things I have to do early. So that's going to sit there probably 24 hours before, or pretty close, before I pull the clamps. Before I pull the clamps. Sometimes my brain just freezes, folks. You know how that is. And I blame it on just the way it is. Alrighty, so let me get those pins out of here. I just threw them in here because they had a little bit of glue. Now, if there's any issue with glue down the hole, I need to just take either a drill bit or a reamer, and don't use a tool. Just do it by hand and just pull that material out of there. Okay, got all my bridge pins. I said I was going to keep them all in order, and of course I didn't. And at least 3 of them are not. But that's okay, because they're all going to get reshaped anyway. I'm going to file the edges all down. They'll be different. So we'll come back tomorrow in the afternoon, the early evening, see how this goes. It should be ready to go. In which case, then I'm going to string her up, tune her up, and see how it sounds. So with that, I appreciate all the time and energy that you guys spend just watching me do this. If you have any comments, questions, don't hesitate to send me a comment. I'd love to hear from everybody. Thanks.